Hello. So no video for a while, but I've been busy writing. Here's my website that I really love, the AM Intrigue. We got our collections here of the various writings I've been up to. Mostly, I've still been following whatever this is called, the Pocket Muse, and the other one, Ursula K. Le Guin's Steering the Craft. But anyway, so yeah, I'm just gonna read some of the stuff I've been writing, and you can find it on my website, amintrigue.wordpress.com. So this is Celestial Cats. On the right here, you have Eclipse, and this is Equinox. So the context behind it is I was babysitting the cats, and their owner recently told me that they're getting very fat. So here's the poem: Big cat, little cat, extra pound of fat cat, wondering where their mama's at. Chunky cat, funky cat, going on a diet cat, stomping around their mama's flat. Shy cat, daring cat, looking like a vat cat, see them in their mama's tat. Stinky cat, slinky cat, flab around the lats cat, longing for their mama's pat. Unironically, one of the better things I've written recently. So of course we have the cat rhyme with cat, rhymes with at, rhymes with fat. The only area where this doesn't occur is diet, but I couldn't think of a good rhyme there. But anyway, you can see vat, lats, pat, tat, flat. Anyway, going on, this is repetition. I just wrote this today. This is from Ursula K. Le Guin's Steering the Craft. Here's our prompt right here. It's repetition. You have to have 3 repetitions of a noun, verb, or adjective. Syntactic repetition, which is several repetitions of like a sentence structure, not to be confused with structural repetition, which is kind of foreshadowing echoes of an event. So anyway, I did like how this one came out, and I thought it could be a good starting place for maybe something more. At the end of all things, there existed the last, a group of beings all on their own, floating in the remnants of space, but beings sentient nonetheless. What exactly they were is unknown. Tales are told of these great wanderers alone among the stars, but tales, myths, nonetheless. Time collides. The last word, the last will be, the last are, all in an ever-occurring churning of life, but always at the ends of time. Myth propagates, should was, would will, could is, each in a legend producing offshoot of reality, but forever out of reach. We look now at 2 of these realities, both independent of, yet influenced by the other. Patterns placed in grooves well worn, but surmountable by the actor, the reality. The first, somewhere in the depths of space and time, our own Earth's great themes are paralleled. This is because, of course, they are not Earths, but of the broader universes of all life. Things grow, things die, hearts break, hate challenges love, art sings sadly. You're somewhere in there, if not specifically you in this exact place, then you in the sense that you have shared experiences wherever you look. Such a being there was, in this far-off place belonging to a name as common as Sam, and an identity as complicated as yours or mine. All things simply are in Sam's world, and it was that Sam's family was dead. But Sam attached no judgment to this, for in Sam's culture, families lived scattered across the planet, ever roaming at their wants' content. This was normalized due to Sam's folks being a winged species, which shaped their society and culture in innumerable ways compared to our terrestrial selves. A friend of Sam's last family delivered this news to Sam, but while Sam's thoughts were never turned to judgment, Sam, of course, still felt. Allow your narrator here some clarification. Sam's culture breathed this non-judgmental, all things simply are philosophy into all aspects of their lives and society. However paradoxical it may seem, treating one's emotions with respect was also highly valued. For example, if Sam felt bad, society expected Sam to wear this, and it was taken for what it was, not as an indictment against Sam or any other, but as a feeling. Feelings were seen as a largely uncontrollable response developed in response to one's experiences. They were as instinctive and involuntary as a heartbeat or breath inhaled. What judgment Sam's society did prescribe on emotions was evidence of one's own individuality, uniqueness, and humanity. So, Sam's family was dead and Sam mourned. Though Sam hadn't seen this last family since their hatchling days, the mourning wasn't concerned with that. Sam mourned for loneliness, for could have been relationships, for experiences unlived, for art uncreated. Simply, Sam felt. Sam felt despite death being much more frequent than here on Earth. In fact, hardly a quarter of Sam's folk lived long enough to die of old age. A very high birth rate compensated against this. and so many beings in Sam's society either personally experienced or knew another in Sam's situation. Such a perilous, uncertain existence fostered a prosperous culture among Sam's folk of finding meaning in enduring art. Indeed, society was primarily organized around pursuit and expression of one's craft, as this was seen as the quintessential representation of one's experiences, perception, and feeling. Society functioned as documentation of life. Let me know in the comments if you can find where these occurred. Okay, this one is A Fool's Paradise from the Pocket Muse. So these are just some notes, but anyway, let's start at the top. Simply, the prompt was A Fool's Paradise. Max, recently returned from his shift at McDonald's, is now teetering over on the couch, sleep and heavy eyelids threatening to take him. The soft sounds of his parents whispering and cooking dinner flitter in his ears, exacerbating sleep's spell. His eyes fall closed, his fate surely sealed, when, without warning, the door to his family's apartment smashes open, with deadbolt splintering violently through the frame. Adrenaline feeds this nightmare as countless officers storm inside, guns drawn. Max's mother screams as an officer throws his father to the ground. Max stares up at the gun in his face, realizes he is in a waking nightmare, and raises his hands, cowering deeper into the couch. He dares a glance toward his parents and can see neither, the only evidence of their presence, his mother's wails. The officers sweep the small apartment and haul Max's brother David out of one of the bedrooms, inciting another wave of screams from Max's mother. The officers leave, dragging David behind them, but saying not a word. Fewer than 5 minutes having passed since Max having closed his eyes. Several more minutes pass, and with head spinning and heart pounding, Max finally manages to get off the couch, the sound of his mother's sobs breaking his trance. He sees his father lying on the ground, blood pooling from a wound on the back of his head. His mother is there nursing him with a rag as blood pulses and lips murmur. He peers into the shared bedroom, now in complete disarray, and scans for what he already knows has been taken, the family laptop. But in his search, he sees a faint glow from deep beneath the bed and kneels down, bending his head and discovering that David's phone lay there. He lies down on his stomach and stretches his arm and hand toward it, with fingers barely grazing. Exerting a strained stretch, he manages a firmer grip, brings it out, and sits on the bed, slightly panting. It's unlocked, he thinks, surprised. Sitting there, he tries to imagine it flying from David's hands as the faceless officers wrestled him from the desk chair, but he struggles. There's no way it could have slid or bounced that far, he thinks. Returning to the kitchen, he again joins his mother down in her kneeling position next to his father. Is he going to be okay? At that, Max's dad's eyelids slowly stir and hinge open, and he looks upon his wife and son. Ow, he smiles, and then begins to clamber to his knees. Easy, Mike, Jen cries, placing a stilling hand on his shoulder and nodding at Max. Grab a chair. Max obeys, and mother and son help husband and father up. Mike throws his arms around them, tears spoiling his smile, then freezes. Where is David? I was trying to go in a kind of authoritarian, fascist type direction with that. And just the thought, A Fool's Paradise is like, I was going to have the character Max, or maybe David rather. Or Max was going to be like, someone who was obsessed with MAGA, despite like all the bad things. But then finally when the bad things happen to him, when his brother is taken, he kind of has a reckoning. Okay, let's go with Directness is Kindness. This is not a story, more of a daily prompt from WordPress itself, as far as I know, that's where these come from. So the lesson the prompt was, what skills or lessons have you learned recently? I learned today that directness is kindness. I'm tempted to couch this in writing that of course I knew this beforehand, but I don't want to make excuses, especially because this lesson was learned in a new context, letting someone down. I'm referring to dating, as I just had a second date with a wonderful woman. I could tell she liked me a lot, but unfortunately, it just wasn't right for me. She texted me after the second date, trying to set up a third. I did tell her I'd get back to her, but even then I knew I didn't want to continue seeing each other. She texted me again with a third date idea, but all I could muster in response was an emoji reaction. Like the little... I did a heart. I did try to tell myself that I didn't quite have the bandwidth to respond to her, which I think can be valid sometimes, but I accept it was an excuse in this case. It's better to get it over with quickly. There's never going to be a right time. I knew ghosting is wrong, but it was easy to convince myself that this was different, that I wasn't doing that. This morning, she texted me again, gently calling me out for my lack of response and also reading my mind, inquiring if I didn't want to continue. I'm thankful she did, as it pushed me to do the right thing and reply. I wrote my response as kindly and considerately as I could manage, now realizing that in doing so, I was hoping to soften the blow as much as I could, but that an earlier response would have been more effective. I think she appreciated my delivery, but she left me with this lesson. Directness is kindness. Thank you, X. Let's see, I'm just thinking, yeah, so dating. Dating is exhausting, it's expensive, but is what it is, I guess. Let's see, you guys can go read the other ones on my website, all 0 of you that listen to this. But yeah, that's all for today's video. Check out the website, smash that subscribe button, and yeah, thanks. That's all I got for you.